diabetes. I have previously posted a video about diabetes part 1, so we will be talking about diabetes part 2. In the part 1 video, I already talked about the insulin molecule, how it behaves, how it affects carbohydrate, lipid and protein metabolism, etc. So now we're going to talk about diabetes itself. So the first one, we will talk about the classification of the diabetes. Alright, so diabetes classification. For diabetes classification, there is a hypothesis given. Hypothesis is named thrifty phenotype hypothesis. In thrifty phenotype hypothesis, just remember one thing: it's a fetal, maternal, uteroplacental insufficiency. Alright, fetal, maternal, uteroplacental insufficiency. What do we know about fetal, maternal, uteroplacental insufficiency? So we just chop the word. Fetal means fetus, maternal mother, uterus, and placental insufficiency. Alright, so what happened in the insufficiency? Because of the insufficiency, there is less supply to the fetal. Because of the less supply to the fetal will be low birth weight. Alright, low birth weight fetal, and also because of the less supply, there will be nephron underdoing. Alright, nephron underdoing means undeveloped nephrons. Alright, so there will be low birth weight and there will be nephron underdoing. It can directly cause nephron underdoing also. Alright, because of these two factors, they can lead to susceptible to insulin resistance. These two factors can be susceptible to insulin resistance. So in thrifty phenotype hypothesis, first one is the feto-maternal uteroplacental insufficiency. Other than that, there can be fetal malnutrition. Alright, that can directly cause low birth weight. Alright, hypertension, maternal hypertension can be there. Alright, or maternal diabetes mellitus can be there. Very important factor. Hypertension can also cause fetal, maternal, uteroplacental insufficiency. Alright, so according to this hypothesis, the diabetes mellitus has been divided into several parts. Alright, several types. The first one is type 1 DM, type 1 diabetes mellitus. Alright, so type 1 diabetes mellitus, the things we have to remember in type 1 diabetes mellitus is, this is basically immune deregulation. Alright, immune deregulation of the hormones. Alright, so this is immune deregulation. Alright, and this immune deregulation is basically due to genetic susceptibility, and this genetic susceptibility can be triggered by infections also. Right, like rubella, mumps, Coxsackie virus. Alright, so there is immune deregulation is there. What happens in immune deregulation? In immune deregulation, our immune system forms autoantibody against the beta cell. Alright, so autoimmune attack on the beta cells of pancreas. Alright, so because of this immune attack, there will be beta cell destruction. Alright, and this will cause insulitis, very important term. Autoimmune attack on the beta cell of pancreas is called insulitis. Alright, but examiner can ask what type of cells it present in the autoimmune attack. So there can be T cells as well as B cells attack. Alright, so this is the pathology in type 1 diabetes mellitus. One liner you should remember: 70 to 80% of beta cell which is attacked by the autoimmune cells need to be destroyed before the patient is symptomatic. Alright, so take note of this line. We will not show any symptoms of diabetes type 1 unless there is 70 to 80% beta cell destruction. Alright, and this destruction can take 5, 10, 15, 20 years. Alright, so diabetes type 1 patient present at various ages is because of the timing of the beta cell destruction, 70 to 80%. Alright, so it can be present at any age. So there was a misconception before that type 1 diabetes is a disease of child, and type 2 diabetes is a disease of adults or elderly patients. So that is a misconception. Actually, type 1 diabetes can be present at any time, at any age. Alright, so this is the basic thing about the diabetes type 1. There is a honeymoon phase. Alright, yeah, this is called honeymoon phase. What is a honeymoon phase? The time taken in the beta cell destruction, 70 to 80% beta cell destroyed. Alright, and then after the patient will be clinically presented to you with polyuria, polydipsia. Alright, and then because of this you will give insulin. Alright, this insulin given can decrease the destruction of the beta cell. Alright, so because of the giving of insulin, there will be less destruction. Alright, but what if you do not give insulin? Then the cells will be 100% destroyed. Alright, so it depends on if you give insulin or not give insulin. The phase from 70% to 80% destruction is called honeymoon phase. Alright, keep in mind, this is called honeymoon phase. Alright, so let's talk about the genetics of DM type 1. Genetics of DM type 1 says that there is a HLA association. Alright, MSC class 2, as you already know. Alright, so there is DQ and DR, both are presented there. DQ is the causative and DR is the protective. Alright, DR, there is a subtype of DR, you have to remember DR B1 1501. Alright, just keep in mind, this is an important point. There can be a question in the exam from this. So we said that there is autoimmune attack, so there is antibody formation. So what type of antibodies are there? So autoantibodies formed during DM type 1 attack. The first one is GAD, glutamic acid decarboxylase antibody. Alright, glutamic acid decarboxylase antibody. This is the most persistent antibody. Alright, and this can also seen in LADA type of diabetes also. I will talk about LADA later. Second type of antibodies are ICA, isolate cell auto antibody. These are seen 80% with type 1 diabetes mellitus. Alright, and this is the first antibody to appear. Alright, and it will decline by time. And because of the declination by the time, it is most difficult to measure. Alright, the third one is insulin antibody. Alright, insulin autoantibody called IAA. This is the most specific antibody for type 1 DM. Most specific antibody for type 1 DM. This is the most common in new onset type 1 DM. Alright, but if you give treatment, if you already given insulin, there is no validity of IAA, and this is also difficult to measure. Alright, the fourth antibody is zinc transporter antibody. This zinc transport antibody is important. Alright, also present in the type 1 DM. Alright, so these four antibodies are present in 80 to 95% cases. Alright, one more one-liner question from here. If we talk about the family history, if one parent has DM, type 1 DM, then there is a 5% chance for the progeny to have DM. If both parents have type 1 diabetes mellitus, there is 15% chance. Alright, and if there is twin brothers or twin sister or twin progenies, there is 50 to 70% chance. If one has DM type 1, there is the second will have DM type 1, is 70% chance is there. Alright, so this is type 1 diabetes. Alright, so the next classification is called, the next thing in classification is called type 2 DM, type 2 diabetes mellitus. Alright, for type 2 diabetes mellitus, as we already talked about the DM type 1 parent and both parents, so we'll first talk about that. 70 to 90% chance if there is a twin pregnancy. Alright, 25% chance if either his parents have type 2, 40% if both parents, and in type 2 diabetes HLA is less significant. Alright, So as we can see, the family history is more significant than HLA. Alright. So type 2 diabetes, you have to just remember one thing in type 2 diabetes is insulin resistance. Alright. Insulin resistance. So why there is insulin resistance? The insulin resistance can be there because of metabolic syndrome. Alright. Metabolic syndromes. What are the metabolic syndromes? So to find out if a person is having a metabolic syndrome, there is a criteria. Alright. According to this criteria, there are 5 things in the criteria. The first one is your waist circumference for male and for female. Alright. For male and for female. For male, if the waist circumference is more than 102, and for female it's more than 80 centimeter, then we will say it's positive. Alright. Triglyceride level more than 150 mgdl. HDL level for male more than 40, for female more than 50 mgdl. Fasting blood sugar more than 100, and BP more than 130/85. Among these 5 things, if any person is having 3 out of 5, this he will be called to having metabolic syndrome. Alright. There is one more parameter. The parameter is BMI. Alright. As you already know, the normal is 18.5 to 24.9. Overweight is more than 24.9, means 25 to 29.9, and obese will be called when the patient is having more than 30 BMI. Alright. But this BMI is for the whole world, not for the Indian population, because in the Indian population there is a big difference in food. So in Indian population it will just not be diabetes, it will called diabesity. Alright. Diabesity. So diabesity, you will read what is diabesity. Diabesity is made up from diabetes, from obesity. Okay. So called diabesity. For Indian patients or for Indian population, the normal BMI is 18 to 22.9. Overweight is 23 to 24.9, and obese will be if there is more than 25 BMI, he will be called obese. Just keep in mind for the Indian population. That's why in the diabetes in India is called diabesity. Alright. Why it is called diabesity, and what is the significance of diabesity? So diabesity is basically a central obesity. Alright. In Indian population there is very high chance of central obesity. Alright. Why? Because, and how central obesity will affect the patient and increase the chance of diabetes. In central obesity there will be increased C-reactive protein and decreased adiponectin. Alright. There will be increased CRP and decreased adiponectin, and because of the central obesity there will be high deposition of adipose tissue. Alright. As the adipose tissue will increase and there is increased CRP, decreased adiponectin, the alpha receptor of adipose tissue will change into beta 3 receptor. and the change in the beta 3 receptor will trigger or will increase lipolysis. There will be increased lipolysis. As you already know, the product of lipolysis is free fatty acid. So there will be increased free fatty acid, and this free fatty acid will go to portal circulation. Alright, this will go to portal circulation and will go to liver. Alright, so it will cause hyperlipidemia and hyperglycemia. Alright, because liver will change the free fatty acid into lipid and glucose. So what will liver do? The liver will convert it into lipid and glycemic means glucose. So what does liver do? Liver will convert it into hyperlipidemia and hyperglycemia. There will be hyperlipid and hyperglucose. Alright, this is a normal phenomenon. Alright, so the increase in free fatty acid, if there is so much free fatty acid because of the central obesity, there is increased lipolysis, increased free fatty acid. So the extra free fatty acid will go to mitochondria and then converted to the byproducts. It needs carnitine palmityl transferase. Alright, it needs carnitine palmityl transferase. This is alright. But this carnitine palmityl transferase is not used in the normal process. Alright, so it will, the extra free fatty acid will convert into fatty acyl CoA and malonyl coenzyme. Alright, so there will be formation of fatty acyl CoA and malonyl CoA. Alright, fatty acyl CoA and malonyl CoA, and this is the key point of resistance, because fatty acid and malonyl CoA will take part into the insulin resistance. Right. So what are the symptoms that are associated with the insulin resistance? There are so many, like type A syndrome, type B syndrome. You can read about them, but we will not talk about them here. We will talk them separately. Alright, so we have talked about diabetes type 1, diabetes type 2. Now the third one is maturity, onset diabetes in youngs. This is called MODY. This type of diabetes is autosomal dominant, and the mean age for this is adolescent or early childhood. Right, you can say less than 25 years, and male female ratio is equal. Alright, so in MODY type of diabetes, what happens in the MODY type of diabetes is, so what happens in the MODY type of diabetes is, there is no stigma of insulin resistance. That means there are no features of insulin resistance there in the MODY, and there as like DM complication, there is no risk for micro or macro complications also, and there is also no risk of decay. Alright, and this can be controlled by sulfonyl ureas. Alright, and this type of diabetes have a excellent prognosis also. Alright, so what is MODY? If a patient is suffering from diabetes aged less than 25 years, but he is not showing any type of decay, as you already know, in type 1 diabetes there is a high chance of decay, in type 2 there is high chance of insulin resistance. So in this patient there will be no stigma of the insulin resistance, also there will be no chance of decay also. So this is not type 1, this is not type 2, this is a different type of diabetes called MODY. Alright, the next one is type 3 diabetes mellitus. Type 3 diabetes mellitus is divided into 3A, 3C and 3D. 3A type is also called hybrid or double diabetes or brain diabetes. Alright, because in the insulin resistance in the brain, because of the increased insulin resistance, the brain cells will be lacking of glucose. Alright, so the insulin resistance will also go to brain, and the brain cell will deprive of glucose, and it will cause Alzheimer's dementia like symptom. Alright, so that's why it is called brain diabetes, because actually this is a subtype if a patient is having insulin resistance because of the metabolic syndrome. He is not showing any symptom of type 2 diabetes, but because of the insulin resistance, the cells are depriving, the brain cells are depriving of the insulin, the brain cells are depriving of the glucose, so there will be less glucose to brain cells and they will starve to death, and there will be Alzheimer's dementia like symptoms. Type 3D diabetes is called drug induced diabetes. What drugs can cause diabetes? Antipsychotic drug can cause diabetes. Renal drugs, mainly thiazide or tacrolimus, can cause. Endocrine drug like steroids, oral contraceptive pills, growth hormone, HIV drugs like protease inhibitor can cause diabetes. Oncological drug like L-asparaginase can cause diabetes. Right? Beta agonist diazoxide can cause diabetes. Alright, and phenytoin also can cause diabetes. Alright, so the next one is type 3C, type 3C-DM. Type 3C-DM is called pancreatic diabetes. Alright, pancreatic diabetes, this is not well studied yet, but there is fibrocalculus chronic pancreatitis. Because of the pancreatitis, the beta cells are not functioning very well, so there will be less insulin and it will show the symptom and signs of diabetes. Cystic fibrosis can cause cystic fibrosis of liver and hemochromatosis because of the iron deposition can cause. This is generally happens to 15 to 25-year-old patients. Alright, 70% will be male, and this is a catastrophic patient. Alright, catastrophic patient, how it is present as catastrophic patient? It's present with the acute severe abdominal pain. Alright, so this is how we can differentiate type 3C with other diabetes. It can be presented with acute severe abdominal pain with extensive pancreatic calcification, and steatophoria or diabetes mellitus also will be there. Alright, and this increases the risk of nephropathy. Alright, this is also called the lean young ketosis negative diabetes. Alright, and the gold standard for this is ERCP. Right, the next one is type 4 diabetes mellitus. Type 4 diabetes mellitus happen more than 60-year-old patient. When a 60-year-old patient, more than 60-year-old patient develop hyperglycemia first time, and he is a lean patient, means there are no stigma of the metabolic syndrome. He is a lean patient, and fasting blood sugar will go as high as 200 to 250. There will be no insulin resistance, no complications of diabetes. Also the prognosis is very good for type 4 diabetes and type 4 diabetes, and the Modi type of diabetes is very similar. Alright, the both are very similar, but the Modi happens less than 25-year-old, and if Modi happens at more than 60-year-old, the same feature as Modi, it will be called type 4 diabetes mellitus. The pathogenesis of type 4 diabetes mellitus says that it is because of the increase in T regulatory cells. In T regulatory cells increases, because of the T regulation increase, there will be destruction of the insulin and there will be features of diabetes mellitus, but not as severe as insulin resistance or no complication of macro or micro. There is one more thing I want to tell you in the last, that how we will diagnose the diabetes. Alright, so the diagnosis of the diabetes will be made as per American Diabetes Association. The criteria is if a patient is having any of the following. Right, first one is random blood sugar more than 200 with symptom, or fasting blood sugar more than 126 with or without symptom, HbA1c more than 6.5%, or 2-hour plasma glucose is more than 200 mg/dl during an oral glucose tolerance test. If a patient is having any of the following, there we make the diagnosis of diabetes mellitus. Alright, there is a special type of diabetes called type 1.5 diabetes. Alright, this is called type 1.5 diabetes. This diabetes happens when patient is 15 to 25-year-old, mainly boys. Alright, So there is a special type of diabetes, type 1.5 diabetes. Why it is called type 1.5 diabetes? Alright. So let's understand. Actually the type 1.5 diabetes is between type 1 and type 2. This comes in between type 1 and type 2. Take, alright. Type 1 and type 2. Alright. So let's understand a case scenario. There comes a 15 to 25-year-old boy who is presented with decay. So what we will think? We will think most probably a young patient with DKA, he is having diabetes type 1, and the treatment for diabetes type 1 is insulin. So we will give him insulin, and after 10 to 15 to 25-year-old, there will be less insulin requirement. Alright, there will be less insulin requirement, so we give insulin, but after time there is less insulin requirement, and he can be managed only on hypoglycemic drugs. So now he is converted to type 2 DM, because as we can see in type 2 DM, if a patient is having type 2 DM, he can be managed, type 2 DM patient can be managed on oral hypoglycemic drugs without needing of insulin. So a patient presented as a type 1 DM but will convert as a type 2 DM is called type 1.5 diabetes mellitus. This phenomenon is called ketosis prone diabetes. Alright. So a type 2 diabetes which presented in early age with ketosis feature is called KPD. Ketosis prone diabetes. This is a very important part. This is called ketosis prone diabetes. Another case scenario, and also called, this is also called Flatbush diabetes. Flatbush diabetes. Alright. And another scenario we will take a 35-year-old patient who presented to you as a type 2 DM with no decay, but in 5 to 10 years he developed insulin resistance and he will now require insulin. So a type 2 patient converted to type 1 DM. Alright. Firstly he can be managed on oral hypoglycemic drug, but later in 5 to 10 to 20 years he will be converted to insulin required diabetes mellitus, means type 1 diabetes mellitus. This is called LADA type, latent autoimmune diabetes in adults. Alright. So a patient who is having type 1 but then convert to type 2 will be called KPD. A patient who is having type 2 and then convert to type 1 will be called LADA. Alright. So now this is the end of the diabetes. Make sure you watch the both parts for the good understanding of the diabetes. Thank you very much.